Balaam, son of Beor, was a non Israelite prophet and diviner from Pithom, a city located in what is now southeastern Turkey. Balaam's history is mainly recorded in the book of Numbers, chapter 22 to 24. He was hired by King Balak of Moab to curse the Israelites, but instead he blessed them as dictated by God. God didn't ignore Balaam's attempted curse because it served as an opportunity to demonstrate his power, sovereignty, and love for Israel. God used a man who wasn't a part of his covenant to declare blessing over Israel. This reminds us of something central to our New Testament faith. God is sovereign. He can speak through anyone, even someone like Balaam, to accomplish his perfect will. The Apostle Paul affirms the idea when he says in First Corinthians that God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. When Balak sent messengers to Balaam, he insisted that he could only speak the words God commanded him to say. In the biblical context, prophets often received revelation through direct communication, visions, dreams, the Spirit's inspiration, casting lots like Urim and Thummim, sacrifices and offerings. However, these practices weren't about invoking God's voice, but rather seeking guidance within a covenantal relationship. Despite initial hesitation, Balaam eventually met with Balak and offered sacrifices on seven altars, receiving prophecies from God that blessed Israel. The Bible doesn't explicitly state how Balaam learned to invoke God's voice or receive prophecies from God. As a diviner or soothsayer, Balaam might have been involved in practices that weren't necessarily aligned with worshipping the one true God. But here's where the story takes a turn, and one that resonates deeply with the New Testament church. While Balaam spoke words from God, his heart was not aligned with God's purpose. His motives were corrupt. The New Testament warns us about this kind of duplicity. Second Peter chapter 2 verses 15 says, "They have forsaken the right way and gone astray, following the way of Balaam the son of Beor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness." Friends, this is a direct warning to the church, not just about people outside, but those within who may look the part but are driven by the greed and self interest. Balaam's prophecies celebrated Israel's unique exaltation, moral virtue, monarchy, and military conquest. He prophesied about a king who would conquer Edom and Moab and spoke about the glory and conquest of Israel's monarchy. Balaam's prophecies consist of seven poems, each with a distinct message. One of those prophetic words in Numbers chapter 24, verses 17 says, "I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star shall come out of Jacob, a scepter shall rise out of Israel." That verse doesn't just belong in the Old Testament, it points forward. Early Christians saw it as a messianic prophecy, a glimpse of the coming Christ. Isn't it powerful that even Balaam, with all his flaws, was made to point to Jesus, our King and Redeemer? But Balaam's legacy doesn't end with prophecy. Sadly, it turns dark. Later, Balaam advised Balak to entice the Israelites into idol worship and sexual immorality, led to the heresy of Peor. Numbers chapter 31, verses 16 directly blames the incident on Balaam's advice, resulting in divine judgment against the Israelites who participated. This is what Revelation chapter 2:14 warns the church about. "But I have a few things against you.
because you have there those who hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to put a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols, and to commit sexual immorality.
The people refers specifically to members within the church who are embracing or tolerating false teachings and immoral practices, leading others astray in the name of personal gain, much like Balaam taught Balak to corrupt Israel. Balaam met his end during a battle against Midian, as recorded in the book of Numbers, chapter 31, verses 8, in the book of Joshua, chapter 13, verses 22, states that he was killed by the sword. Even in his death, Balaam serves as a warning. Jude chapter 1, verses 11 speaks for those who rush for profit into Balaam's error. That error wasn't just greed, it was knowing God's truth but choosing personal benefit over obedience. How many today, even in ministry, face that same temptation? Balaam is often depicted negatively for his attempts to curse Israel and his role in leading them to sin. But the deeper truth is this: God's purpose was never thwarted. Balaam intended one thing, but God turned it around for blessing. Balaam's story serves as a powerful example, one that echoes through the New Testament of God's sovereignty, of the danger of compromise, and of the warning against false teachers in the church. Church, let us not follow in the way of Balaam, but rather in the way of Christ, faithful, obedient, and surrendered.